Warning: this spoiler is from the novel. There may be some parts that are omitted in the comic. Essentially, this spoiler is more complete. Thank you and happy watching. It was a battlefield where blood splattered and flesh was damaged. The destruction of Seoul Dome, which I wanted to prevent, was approaching with every second. Many constellations are excited by the battle. Let's go. Yu Jonghyuk launched himself quickly along with his words. Shin Yaosung puffed up and blew a breath towards us. Beast King's breath. It was an ether storm of destructive that was comparable to the 5th grade sea species ice breath. Avoid it. Yu Jonghyuk invoked Red Phoenix Shunpo to the extreme and escaped from the attacks of the disaster Shin Yaosung. I didn't avoid the attacks like Yu Jonghyuk and used Beast King's sensitivity instead. I felt genuinely impressed with Yu Jonghyuk's combat senses. The disaster was a disaster, but Yu Jonghyuk was a monster. It was only Yu Jonghyuk who could resist the disaster without the Judgment Time buff. He was a strong, cool, ruthless regressor. I was relieved that he was currently on my side. Do it properly, Kim Dokya. I'm doing it. Damn it. I just needed to approach and deal a blow, but it wasn't that easy. After several successful attacks, Shin Yaosung became more violent. She was in a berserk state and kept firing the ether storm. Her magic power might be depleted, but I was barely able to withstand it with Beast King's sensitivity. Yu Jonghyuk had dealt some blows, but the damage hardly accumulated. How long did we exchange blows? It had been already 20 minutes when I came to my senses. Yu Jonghyuk's physical strength dropped sharply and the magic power potions I drank like juice were running out. Strong. I never thought I would struggle so much despite using Judgment Time. My stiff body creaked violently. The side effects of Judgment Time were gradually being felt. Ha ha ha. This is a really nice scenario. Constellations, don't you agree? I listened to the voice of the intermediate Dokubi and moved forward with all my strength. The fur of the Beast King's sensitivity flapped like crazy. My skin became black from the ether storm. 1 step, 2 steps. I got near, but time wasn't on our side. I wouldn't be able to do enough damage before the 30 minutes was up. Then something happened inside Shin Yaosung's body. Her body shook like she was struck by lightning and her dark eyes temporarily recovered its senses. Attack me. The disaster Shin Yaosung was controlling her body with her will. Stop me. I didn't say it, but I heard it. Protect this round. I broke through the temporarily weakened ether storm and ran forward with Yu Jonghyuk. I swung my sword and blood splattered from Shin Yaosung's body. The constellation, Scribe of Heaven, is looking at you. I did my best not to show the worst performance. The constellation, Prisoner of the Golden Headband, is looking at you. Shin Yaosung screamed as she was cut by the blade and the storm blew Yu Jonghyuk back. Go, Kim Dokya. I pierced through the gap that Yu Jonghyuk made. The blade of faith dug exactly into Shin Yaosung's shoulder without hesitation. Magic power ran through the blade and ripped through the Beast King's sensitivity. Then Shin Yaosung's left arm was cut off. Blood fell. I stared into Shin Yaosung's face. Just like in Ways of Survival, Shin Yaosung was smiling. I realized that she deliberately allowed herself to be hit by my sword. A number of constellations can't take their eyes off your battle. Damn it. I smiled weakly and the sword fell from my hands. Shin Yaosung laughed. Don't you look stupid. She grabbed me and threw me to the ground without any screams of anger. However, it didn't hurt. It wasn't an attack. Do you want to continue? Yes. I swung my sword towards her and Shin Yaosung fired a breath at me again. It was like an answer to a question. We frantically damaged each other. It can't continue like this. My Beast King's sensitivity was losing its effect because I was lacking magic power. Judgment Time strengthened my body to the limits, but it was just a temporary crutch. Blood flowed and the world spun because of dizziness. However, I didn't stop. The damage was definitely accumulating. Some constellations reluctant towards you have become curious. Go crazy. The constellations roaming the battlefields are paying attention to your battle. Make a lot of fuss. The constellations of the great battlefields praise your will. Just wait until the day I go and pull out your tongues. How many more blows did we exchange? My weakened body staggered back. There are 30 seconds left for bookmark. Some internal organs were damaged and a broken rib kept irritating my lungs. I did the best I could, yet the disaster was still strong. The recovered eyes of Shin Yaosung were once again turning black. In any case, This disaster of floods seemed stronger than the original novel. The disaster. Shin Yaosung looked at me with anxious eyes. It isn't enough. She couldn't commit suicide. The intermediate Dokubi wouldn't allow her to die that way. This was the limit that she could penalize herself. I was also at my limit in a different way. How are you going to stop me? Don't worry. They'll come soon. The person who will stop you. From the beginning, I had no intention of killing Shin Yaosung with my own hands. It was impossible for Yu Zhonghyuk in his current state. There was still one person remaining who could kill her. The moment Shin Yaosung's mouth was about to open, the ground around her exploded. There was the distant roar of artillery. A woman dressed in a blue prison uniform appeared from the north. The monsters split apart and troops advanced to this side. A woman in a mask stood in the middle and commanded the army. The King of Wanderers. I thought she had gone somewhere, but she had been taking care of the monsters as she advanced from the north. However, they weren't the one I was waiting for. I looked at a person who was running this way. The woman turned this way and asked, "Sorry, am I late?" "Just a bit late. Stop pretending. Aren't you still alive?" The judge of destruction. 10 days later, Jung Heewon was much more restrained than I knew. She lightly patted my shoulders and moved. "Leave it to me and take a break." A red aura rose as she activated Judgment Time. It was much more powerful than the skill I stole. Jung Heewon was the last card I had left. If this failed, had I done enough damage to Shin Yaosung? Would Jung Heewon finish the job well? "What are you so worried about?" Jung Heewon asked with a smile. Confidence that was different than usual filled her voice. It wasn't just Judgment Time that she believed in. The constellation, Scribe of Heaven, is talking to himself. The constellation, Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, shows hostility towards Jung Heewon's sponsor. That reminded me, Jung Heewon had a sponsor. Who had she chosen? Shin Yaosung watched Jung Heewon with shaky eyes. I roughly know the situation. My sponsor was making a lot of noise along the way. Jung Heewon faced Shin Yaosung with sad eyes. Thus, there is no need to worry. Jung Heewon lightly swept her sword in front of her. Flames started to rise from the places her hands touched. It was early in the morning. On a night where the darkness of soul was the darkest, Jung Heewon's blade burned. The flames on the blade were brighter than any flames I had seen. It was the holy white flames of a stigma that would punish all evil. Hell Flames Ignition. I naturally knew this stigma very well. I remembered the description of the stigma from Ways of Survival. In some cases, it was one of the greatest stigmas of Ways of Survival and boasted powerful destructive power comparable to the stigma of the great sage, the equal of heaven. Hell Flames Ignition was the stigma of demon-like Judge of Fire. Jung Heewon laughed coldly. "I will finish this damn scenario." The Archangel Uriel chose Jung Heewon as an incarnation.